All right, guys, serious question about Aasimars. Serious question. How do they heat up their leftovers?
Over a fire?
Yeah.
Where are you going with this one?
In a microwave on high.
Fuck off.
Wait. I have another one here. What are their favorite kind of tortilla chip dips?
What?
Guacamole.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, wait. One more. How does an ASMR make holy water?
How?
They boil the hell out of it.
Fuck.
God.
You're welcome. I just felt like I needed to... Not enough people here that do the puns. I just needed to do it.
That was even puns. That was dad jokes.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's a Mimic, the round table Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome to another episode in our conversation on playable races. I'm Adam, and with me today are Megan and Kyle, and this episode is called Aasimars, Touched by an Angel. In our conversation about playable races in D&D 5th edition, we've already covered 3 kinds of dwarves, 3 kinds of halflings, and 3 kinds of gnomes. We've dedicated 2 episodes to 6 kinds of elves, assuming you don't split hairs with the Eladrin. We've done half-elves, half-orcs, and the 95,000 kinds of humans in the Forgotten Realms. And of course, we dedicated full episodes to tieflings, dragonborn, genasi, and we had that special about Aarakocra a while back as well. You can find all of these episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and dozens of other podcast apps, or you can jump over to YouTube and dig into the entire playlist called Off to the Races that we've built there. This episode, though, is going to focus on the opposite side of the tiefling coin, and that's the Aasimar. We learned all about the fiendish blood of tieflings a couple of race episodes ago, but what happens when there's celestial influence in your life? Well, first of all, you'll probably need your Dungeon Master's approval before you can even exist if you're going to play an Aasimar, because not every DM lets you. Before we get started, would you guys let a player play an Aasimar at your table?
I feel like they would have to be very knowledgeable and like a veteran player, so that you kind of know how they play and you've played with them before. I feel like it's one of those kinds of characters that can get really out of hand really fast, either A, for someone who's not used to playing a character like that, and B, someone you've never played with before.
Okay.
I would require a lot of prep work and a lot of backstory and like a lot of information, so I know where you're going to go with this. Like,
yeah, you're coming with baggage when you're an Aasimar.
Yeah.
I feel like these guys are the dulled edge of the edgelord. They're not as edgy as the tiefling rogue assassin in the corner. But my god, these guys come with baggage.
yeah.
So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, let's jump into it. These guys are, for lack of a better word, half angels in D&D. That's not accurate. Not really, but it's a good place to start the conversation. Whereas tieflings were humans that had the kind of idea of infernal blood. It didn't just have to be infernal blood in their system. When most people think about tieflings, they think about, okay, half devil. And that's not quite true. As a matter of fact, there's very few tieflings out there that actually have diabolical, devilish blood in their system. If you want a half devil, you end up with a Cambion. Cambion. So when you end up being a tiefling because there's someone in your past who's done a deal with the devil, or someone who has, bumped uglies with the devil, and then it pops up now on every descendant from that, right? So your great-great-grandfather made a pact with the devil, and now you are a tiefling. That's not quite the case anymore. That used to be the half-devil, used to be how tieflings were, but for Aasimars, it used to be a half-celestial or a half-angel. Now it can be anywhere in your lineage, but it's not like a blessing has turned you in to an Aasimar. This is not someone who has been, touched by a god, or there's been some sort of angelic presence in their grandfather's life. It's not like that. It is, you straight up have an ancestor who has banged an angel.
Yeah, so it's some definite bumping uglies happening somewhere in your
lineage. Those are bumping pretties, though.
Is it, though?
Oh, angels and Aasimars specifically are known for being pretty. Now, not every family tree with an Aasimar in it is littered with Aasimars. This is one of those things that pops up every few generations. But let me get into it. These things are considered pseudo-celestials. So they're specifically humans. You don't find dwarf or elven Aasimars. It has to be a human with this kind of backstory. But they have specifically an angelic guide. So the reason that they are the Aasimar that they are is because a god has decided it is time now for this baby to become an Aasimar. There's a lot of that weird fuckery with babies in D&D, where hags are always stealing them, devils are always trying to get them, fairies are always replacing. There's a lot of baby kerfuckery, and now we have the Celestials in on it as well.
So, are you saying that, you know, the angel blood is in, you know, the family line, and then they're just like, this one?
Yeah, they activate it. Some god says, bloop, there you go, and you're an Aasimar. But you don't know you're an Aasimar right away. When you are a young child, you start to get visions. You start to have these dreams, and it's always in dreams, where you are visited by this angelic guide. And that's how they phrase it in the books a lot, an angelic guide. And it's actually an angel. Your blood can be from any celestial, but it's an angel that is your guide. A god chose you, and an angel will speak to you. Convoluted enough?
I mean, there's a middleman. That's all that means. Yeah.
I also want to point out that a lot of the non-angelic celestials, they say celestial, right? Not angelic, celestial. Have you guys looked at any of the non-angel celestials? They're all freaking flying snakes and unicorn deers. Like, there's... Who's banging these things? It's clearly supposed to be angels.
Well, if Greek mythology has taught me anything.
Well, there's that. And as we learned, and I think it was a tiefling episode, we don't kink shame on this podcast.
No kink shaming whatsoever.
Right.
I was
Okay.
about to call it out, but I mean, I feel like
All right.
it's there.
So, you can actually find this info in Volo's Guide to Monsters, and there's some different flavor and setting nuance that's in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount as well, but the mechanics there are essentially the same. The basic idea here is that these are souls that are imbued with the goodness from Mount Celestia by some parentage way back when, that is now being activated by a god, and they will send an angel to be a messenger in your dreams to give you visions.
Sounds like having a distant dad with a cool uncle.
Kinda, right? Your family reunion's gonna get weird, especially because angels and celestials are in theory immortal. So
That's when the flying deer horse shows up and everyone's like, oh, Aunt Becky.
So, the other interesting thing about this is they mature at the same rate as humans. It doesn't say they reach adulthood at the same. They say they mature at the same rate, but they can grow to be as old as 160 years old, which means a 50-year-old Aasimar looks like a 50-year-old human. An 160-year-old Aasimar will look like a 160-year-old. There are some old... If there is an ancient-looking human somewhere in your village, chances are good they've got some angelic blessing to them. These Aasimars are born specifically to be champions. Their births are seen as blessings and good omens, sometimes even as much as a miracle. Even the text says that they are placed in the world to serve as guardians of law and good. So you don't have to be lawful or good, but your reason for existing is to be that. So that is your origin when you are an Aasimar. Also, the idea that they are placed in the world means that specifically you are here for a reason. You have a destiny. Not every adventurer can say that, but you essentially come with a prophecy when you choose to be an Aasimar. And if your DM doesn't know that, make them aware of that, like before, like this is a session 0 kind of conversation, right? Which is why I say you got to get your DMs involved early.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are clearly part angelic, and they've got the physical features that display them as such. You see a lot of like silver hair and gold irises in the eyes. But traditionally speaking, in 5th edition, this is not something as subtle as some of the tiefling characteristics or the genasi characteristics. You know an Aasimar when you see them. They are tall, they are strikingly beautiful, and there's something angelic about them. They don't have wings, let me be clear. There are no wings. They don't have a halo. They're not walking around with a harp under their arm. They just have that like bone structure of an angel. They've got the way that they carry themselves, their posture, and there's going to be something like they're always tanned, even in like the dead of winter.
I feel like we talked about them when they age, they become super weird and ugly and like wrinkly. Now I'm imagining just like a fucking silver fox until you're like 160 years old.
Oh,
This
Just
is the
still
most beautiful raisin I've ever seen.
I know. There's a wonderful glowing raisin in front of me. I love this.
Can I get an example of a silver fox? I'm trying to think who's the like really beautiful like celebrity old man that is just like still super fucking handsome.
George Clooney?
George Clooney's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say Harrison Ford, but he's looking a little frumpy these days.
Yeah, well, he's in his, like,
He's
80s?
someone's dad.
Yeah,
like,
but-
that's
Yeah.
what he looks like.
Yeah,
to me.
but like 160. Like I said, from a very young age, they get these visions. They get these guidance from angelic beings, and it always comes in their dreams. These visions are meant to inspire them to be righteous and good. Always. That's what they're meant to do. They're often prophecies. You get weird feelings and vague ideas instead of spoken commands or actual like direct words that are given to you. You get kind of an impression of the idea of what you're supposed to do next. Like I say, it is a guide. I want to grab dice. I want to roll. What would be a vision? Just like off the top of your head right now, a vision that an angel would give to someone. And what does it mean? Let's grab our dice. I got a 13. Kyle, you're going first with a 19.
So I see a series of images. So maybe landmarks that you would recognize that would lead you to a certain place, like maybe say a village, and then you'd see flashes of an enemy terrorizing a town, people screaming, maybe buildings on fire, something that's going to lead you that you can maybe recognize some of it, but some of it is, something that you've never seen before, but maybe you've had it explained to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an idea that this place actually does exist, but it's not just things that you already know, because then you could just construe it as a nightmare. So it has to be something clear and defined, but maybe something that also is incorporating stuff your character wouldn't know, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot. You have to drop clues as a DM,
Yeah.
right? And so your players got to sit there and write down exactly what this vision is, and be like, all right, well, what the fuck? Now I'm looking for like the three-eyed raven in Game of Thrones is a great example. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the easiest kind of clues to drop would just be like random symbols for things. Like not even landmarks or what have you, but like random shapes and symbols. So that when you do end up in a place, you as a DM can be like, all right, well, you're walking to a town that is oddly triangular.
Yeah. Yeah, keep your eyes out for like a purple V or a red 8-pointed star or something like that. Like that kind of...
Yeah, I kind of feel.
Look, we've spoken about visions and whatnot in one of the clerics episodes that came out. I want to say it was the second one. We went off about visions kind of at length in that one. But the thing that I really like that I've been thinking about since is you always dream of a banquet. It's always a banquet, but there are different people there all the time, and it's always in grayscale. Except some people are in different colors. They glow with auras, and the different colors mean different things, but the player doesn't know what they mean yet and have to figure it out. For example, red means they need help. Black means that they've got a secret. Not that they're evil, but they have a secret. When they glow yellow, it's a highlight to say, hey, look out for that guy. They're evil. Kill them. Even though glowing yellow might make them say, oh, that's an ally. Right? So they've got to decipher these prophecies throughout a campaign as they go.
Okay.
Just imagine getting stabbed by somebody, but you were glowing gold.
Can you imagine that moment, though, for a player like that? Betrayal becomes just that much more personal.
Damn you, angels.
Well, not every angel is omniscient. They don't always have all of the options or all of the information even, right? They have a very specific wheelhouse that they operate in. So when you are in Aasimar, you have your one specific angel that speaks directly to you. It's not one of many angels or a host. It is definitively one that guides you on behalf of Mount Celestia. And it says in the lore that most guides are Deva. This is really weird to me because Deva are CR10, but I want to talk about that in a second. So angelic insights are limited. They're coming from a creature that is only halfway up this CR scale, right? They aren't gods. These angels are not gods. And while they may be operating from the point of good and law, or they may be doing the communication on behest of a god, They are not gods, and they don't always have all of the answers. They may not understand the moral gray area or the idea of compromise because they come from such a rigid, lawful good perspective on the world. This can often lead Aasimars to start to question and argue with the angelic presence. Why do you keep sending me to do this thing? Why wouldn't it be easier for me to just do this? Can you imagine if you always, think of liar, liar, right? If you always had to tell the truth, that would blow up in your face 100% of the time. Little white lies can go a long way, but your messenger may not want you to do that. So how do you handle that from a roleplay perspective? There's a lot of good opportunities for DMs to be role-playing these angelic guides as well. So I wanted to go into kind of what some of the guides are, because we have 3 angels, and because it's always specifically an angelic guide, not a celestial guide. So we have 3 angels that are available in the monster manual. The Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica also gave us another 3. There's also the Empyrean out there and Archons in Ravnica and Theros, but they're not strictly angels by 5th edition definition. So I'm not going to break them down. The 6 angels we have are, and start from the monster manual, Devas, they're CR10, and these guys are messengers and errand boys who like to walk amongst the mortals, inspiring the mortals to do good and to feel safe and just and whatnot. Which, it works right in that they are very much the poster boy for messenger for the plane of Celestia. Then there's the CR16 Planetar. These guys are tools and weapons of the gods with a greater vision and a bigger purpose. These guys want to be on a battlefield, and they thrive in a fight. Then you have the CR20 Solars, which are direct stewards of specific gods. They rarely get involved with mortals, and they often wait, meditating, until they're called upon. We covered all 3 of these guys in episode, I want to say 71, where we also covered the Empyrean as well. So if you want deep dives into what these guys can do and whatnot, head over to that episode. But I discovered that there are only 24 Solars in existence, which is interesting.
I read it as there's confusion. It might
There's
be
rumors
minimum
have it,
of 24 as well.
So there are 24 known Solars. I would stick to the 24 and hand out a freaking list.
And here you go.
Here's a 24. And hey, that one just showed up dead in town square.
Yeah.
All right,
23.
What do you do with that? Yeah. In Ravnica, you get a CR5, which is a lot lower. This is the Battle Force Angel. And they're all about battle, and they lead armies of mortals. They feel that their value is proven on the battlefield, and they are zealous combatants. They're all about fighting. The CR12 is the Firemain Angels, who are also all about fighting, but instead of leading armies and wiping clean the negative aspects of evil on the battlefield, these guys are like duelists. They thrive in one-to-one combat. They try to find the leaders of the enemy forces, and they let everybody else deal with the riffraff. So they're going to go 1v1 that guy over there.
I'm God.
Yeah. Was that French?
You're welcome, yeah.
Oh my God. That was the most Italian French I've ever heard.
I did
My
one of
name is
these.
Emilio Montoya.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
And then there's the CR14 Death Pact Angel. These guys are actually lawful evil, and they focus on bestowing gifts and demanding obedience. They like to encourage mortals to become indebted to them. I will do this for you, but then you owe me. To the point where they will actually even enslave spirits of the deceased. And then when the Death Pact Angel dies, they will actually sacrifice one of these indentured spirits to come back with 1 hit point later.
It's like a loan shark.
Exactly like a loan shark.
I just want to play an LA Noir game with like them as the kingpin. It'd be dope.
That'd be cool.
Right?
If you like that, Death Pact Angels are literally tied to the Mafia in Ravnica.
Writing this down for later.
Let's grab dice. And I want to know, which one is your favorite angel to inspire a player? God,
18.
Kyle.
I'm rolling
we
like
keep
shit
going.
today, and I'm supposed to say it.
All right, so I'm going first, and then Kyle second. We're doing the same thing all over again. Okay, so the Deva makes a lot of sense. So it is clearly the quote-unquote right answer here. The others are so battle-hardened. If I'm going to look at an Aasimar that is a Oath of Conquest, I really like the Firemain Angels. These are the duelists that actually I believe they have the ability to compel other people to fight them on the battlefield. So they have a mechanic in the game. They will point at someone and say, come fight me. And that person has to come fight you. Like, that's a lot of fun for me. It also makes them really singular minded and very focused. So I think they'd be kind of shitty guides, which I also think is fun from a DM perspective.
Yeah, I feel like they'd be shitty guides because they would send everybody into battle and then they'd fuck off and do their own thing and actually take the glory of the actual winning of the battle that had occurred.
Yeah.
Why would I let this guy do it when I can do it myself?
I'm going to do it myself. Yeet.
I'm going to need you to fight those 400 little minor devils down there. Yeah. I'm going to go fuck off and take on this guy over here, right? And then, Kyle?
Okay, so I actually have a whole bunch of ones for the different sub-races. So I thought Action Riders, the Archons, would make a great guide for Fallen Aasimars.
Okay, so
along with the Death Pact Angel. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, the Ashen Riders. Okay, so Archons, not technically angels in 5th edition, but I would totally let this happen, right? They are from Theros, I believe, and I want to say off the top of my head, these are the ones that these were celestial beings. They're kind of humanoid, like they look like men, but they went down into the underworld, right? And they went down there and then got corrupted by the underworld, and then they came back to. This is for Fallen Aasimar.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. The
Death
angel
dying
of the
checks out.
undead. Yeah.
And corrupted, so they just kind of spread it as they go. The Boros War Leaders, I think, would go great for Scourge Aasimars. It makes a good tension between the player and the guide, since the War Leader can be aloof and not see immediate concerns, right? Like they plan centuries in advance for what they're planning to do, right? So it kind of fits in with a guide leading a soldier, because that's essentially what they are to the other angels. And they just like to kill.
Those ones are specifically the Battle Force Angels. Those are the Boros leaders.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting. They're only CR5, which means it's not going to take long. Now, keep in mind that a CR5 creature is stacked up against 4 level 5 adventurers, right? But it's not going to take long for you to outpower your messenger.
That's a good point, actually. I never thought about it like that.
I think that's really interesting that you can surpass your messenger, and then even at high levels, you do your own thing, and they come knocking on the door like, "What the fuck?" You say, "Fight me."
Yeah.
I
am the leader now.
I am the captain now. Yeah. What did you have for the protector?
Well, the Divas and the Planetars and the Solars make sense. Okay, so the thing that bugs me about them is they make me think of Pokemon, because Divas evolve into Planetars and then they evolve into Solars, right? Like if they gain favor.
Yeah, kind of. It's not well supported, and there are in theory dozens of other kinds of angels in the middle as well. You know how devils and demons have literally hundreds of them, and you can rank up when you're a devil. Oh, I'm chilling out as a bearded devil today. Next month I'm a bone devil because I did a whole bunch of evil shit. Right? It's the same kind of idea with angels, but we don't get all the steps in the middle. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I feel about that. Mm-hmm. I want there to be more angels. There's some really cool angels and shit in Strongholds and Followers by Matt Colville. Okay. And it's weird biblical angels, like the wheel with 1,000 eyes and 17 wings. And it's fucking strange angel shit. Yeah. And in my head, those guys, even though they're middle range CR, I feel like they would be way up there. Thematically, these guys are the bosses. Mm-hmm. Megan, what do you think?
So I feel like it depends on the kind of campaign you're playing, to be honest with you. And the reason I say that is because I've been playing in a lot of campaigns right now that have large battlefield battles. And every DM has decided on a different way to handle being on the battlefield, whether it's through mini game, whether it's through you deal with different patches, your characters are actually involved, you're just dealing with different areas of the battlefield, you're solving small problems as things go. And I feel like having a battle force messenger, if you were to have an Aasimar on your team going into a battle, would be a neat thing to have. Mm-hmm. Just because they would give it, I feel like you would almost want to give them a bonus for knowing where to go, what to do, like advantage on rolls to figuring out the battle structure, that kind of thing. And I mean, Devas are pretty simple. It's the easiest one to go for. But I feel like depending on what kind of campaign you're playing, it'd be really interesting to have one tie into what it is that your group is doing. Because that would also make more of a reason for your ASMR to be there. Yep. Right? There's really no reason for a battle ASMR to show up and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm here to help you guys out with this non-battle you're having."
Unless they're like you are the final chess piece to launch that fight.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. Okay, so total sidebar here. I'm super late to the game on this, but Mieka was in town over the summer, and she introduced me to Hamilton, the musical. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
Nope.
I did. That was totally backwards. I was expecting it to be the other way around.
I've listened to it a lot because everybody in my life loves it.
You should watch it. It's worth the watch.
I know.
You get more out of it.
It's an investment of my time, and I have a lot of other Netflix things to watch.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Hamilton. I really don't. But the idea that George Washington shows up and is a character and is the general, and at one point Hamilton and I forget who else. It's been a while. I saw it once. It's been a while. They have to defend his good name by having a duel over there. And they go and they have a duel and they fight. And Hamilton is told by George Washington, ignore this, do this instead. I can deal with that level of minor shit on my own. I'm gonna let it roll off my back, and we shouldn't be spending our energy on that. I like the idea, but of course Hamilton says you're vulnerable. We need to step up. I support you 100%. And then later in the story, in history, Washington wants to support Hamilton. I think that's really cool for a Battle Force Angel or a Deva, who is the general, the person that you are there to support. You follow orders. You are their advisor. And then you become powerful enough. They step down. They get wounded in battle, something. And then they've got to support you from behind as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like the idea of your mission in a war, in a battle, is protect this CR5 angel.
Oh yeah, because we just talked about how weak they are, so your job is actually here to protect this. Yeah, that makes sense.
So now, okay, back to Aasimar and away from angels. Aasimar, one of the interesting things about them, I said before that they're kind of like the blunted edge. They are edgelordy, and it is because they operate in secret. One of the things that I used to see a lot in previous editions, and up until this campaign that I'm in now, is the idea of the secret origin, that there's always one person in every campaign that's like, I have this secret backstory that nobody else gets to know. Aasimars are ripe for that shit. Anytime that someone says, I'm going to play a human, and I'm another one of the players, I narrow my eyes and I go, all right, but what the fuck are you really?
Oh, I love playing human characters.
Yeah, unless you're Megan.
Unless you're me.
Megan just plays human blonde girls.
Shut up.
in gleaming, shining armor.
Shut up.
What are you? Fighter? Yeah, but what kind of fighter? I don't know. Fighter.
I like fighting stuff.
Yeah. But I have seen so many Aasimars that are waiting for the moment to reveal themselves, right? And it's actually in the lore, which annoys me a little bit, because they do like to operate with a low profile. They're not meant to be the big, boisterous leader, the face of the party. They are there to vanquish evil through subtle means. They inspire others, and they are totally willing to throw that cloak off and draw their sword. But they don't necessarily want to draw the attention. This is because the forces of evil would happily kill or capture one of the Aasimar. And any Aasimar that they could find. This is a huge boon for them. And I really, really like that, because the Aasimar will never put a mortal in harm's way to protect themselves. And they're always looking out for the side of good. But they're also trying to stay low profile enough to almost be a terrorist against evil. Right?
Okay.
So I got sitting there thinking, why are these cults hunting down Aasimar? What do they get out of it besides just, yeah, fuck you good? When you get past the Skeletor reasoning, what's the purpose for hunting down an Aasimar?
Because there's always the, thought that Aasimar's purpose of being is to destroy that cult, right? They don't know what their overall purpose is, right? So it's just fuck them over before they can get fucked back kind of thing.
You think it's a preemptive strike?
Yeah, right?
Do you have an idea?
Well, I do feel like it's along those lines, in the sense where the idea that these beings are chosen by a higher being, it's almost like, okay, well, we can't have this being walking the planet because it belongs to something that either we don't believe in, so it might be a cult that's against the gods or what have you, and they're like, we don't want your messengers on our planet, so we need to call them off here because that means that they're taking over our territory, that kind of, it's good versus evil territorial thing in my mind.
I was really thinking, wouldn't it be neat if Aasimar blood or hair or tears or something would be an ingredient for a spell?
Oh, I was gonna
Ooh,
say
yeah,
they're
that's
doing
a
it
good
for the
one.
wings, but I didn't want to go down that route.
Well, Aasimar traditionally don't have wings, right? They don't. They're just supermodels.
But I feel like they wouldn't know that. They'd just be like, there's wings on this bitch. I've heard stories. And then they
Yeah.
would kill them, realize there's no wings. And then to your point, like the hairs or the tears or the...
I
Sacrificing them on an altar for their power.
Absolutely. Like, it's got to be shit like that, right? And it's not just like, maybe you need the blood of an Aasimar to get to your lichdom, right? To become a proper lich, to build a phylactery. Because there are rules for that, but there's not actually written rules. They say, there are rules, and then they don't give you what they are.
Yeah.
Right? There's always like, doing dark rituals. You're like, okay, but there's a bubbling cauldron. Of what?
Yeah.
Of what? And if it's like spinal fluid from a freaking Aasimar over in the corner, like, I think it'd be really cool. Can you imagine what a hag would get up to with Aasimar bits?
I don't want to, but yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine the fertility spell that they could cast?
Oh, my Lanta.
All right.
I was also like, it
Sure,
would
I
be...
don't know why that's the first place your mind went, but all right.
Well, I was trying. What are hags gonna focus on that's gonna be different than devils or demons or, liches, right? And they get into hags are my favorite because they're weird.
Yeah.
I feel like, would it be... Like, it doesn't happen often, but I've played in a campaign where one of our characters wanted lichdom.
Oh yeah.
And wouldn't it have been great if one of the rules that you as a DM gave them was you need the blood of an Aasimar. But that Aasimar needs to be dead. And then someone in your party is an Aasimar. What a great world would that be?
Just narrowing your eyes over 17 or 18 different sessions. Going, soon. I'm not going to kill you, but I will not bring you. When you're on death's says, I'm just gonna kneel on your throat. I'm out. I'm trying to revive him.
I'm giving CPR. I swear, it's like fucking
To
breaking
hold
his
the pillow
ribs.
down. So, not every Aasimar, however, has this angelic guide and is anti-evil, and like there is gray area in the world. And when they come into contact with evil and compromise and whatnot out there, sometimes they can have their faith shaken. So it's not really common, but it has been known to happen. They get disillusioned. They turn away from their angelic guide, thinking that the influence that they've felt for their entire lives since they were a child is actually akin to brainwashing. And that this is really just the cult of the good guys telling me what my destiny needs to be. And we have seen that in pop culture and in media before, where there's been like, I don't want to be the hero. I don't want to be the savior. I want to live my life. Right? Why can't I fall in love and settle down? Why do I have to go questing over the mountains to go fight the demons? What? You told me I'm going to die. I don't want to do this. Right? Sometimes these Aasimars actually end up falling from grace completely and become evil, at which point their angelic guide completely abandons them, and they're cut off from Mount Celestia and the forces of good. Their power then shifts from radiance to darkness, and they actually become particularly deadly, according to the lore. You don't want to fight a fallen Aasimar. So, there's not a whole lot of information. Like, you go into Volos, and there's 2 pages of info on 3 sub-races, and like, there's very little. When you compare it up against like elves, and even I felt Genasi had more stuff to dig into.
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of digging into tieflings. Aasimars didn't have a whole lot. So I started to dig through previous editions to find what I could. The earliest appearance was in 2nd edition in the Planescape campaign setting. Now, Planescape is all about the planes, clearly.
Yeah.
But I went digging through my D&D library, which is deep, but it ain't that deep. I don't have this book, so I can't tell you what exactly was going on back then, but I do know that this gave us the idea of them being what's called plane touched. In previous editions, up until 5th edition, anything from another plane that was not the material plane was considered an outsider. Aasimar, Genasi, Tieflings, anything that had any sort of lineage based on an outsider was called plane touched. And that's I had a player one time.
It took me a second there.
Yeah.
I got there.
Yeah, I had a player one time called him Planet Ouched, which made me very happy. But yeah, That was way back in 3.5. But the idea of the plane touched, the Aasimar, the Genasi, and the Tiefling specifically are the 3 plane touched creatures that have made it over into 5th edition, and they've abandoned the term outsider or plane touched. But if your DM ever brings that up, that's what it means. So I went digging around in 3.5 because I have a lot of 3.5 books, but I found that only 3 of them had any sort of reference to what Aasimar used to be. So in 3.5 in the Monster Manual, they actually have them broken down as a monster with the option to build a character from it. They had a thing called level adjustments. So you could play an Aasimar, but you essentially started at level 2. So you were 1 level behind everybody else on your classes because your race was that much more powerful. That was a constant mechanic they had that was very complicated and kind of unnecessary. But it did give us some cool lore. The Monster Manual said there's no such thing as a typical Aasimar. There's no culture or society to speak of because these guys tend to be very rare and they tend to be lone wolves. It was specific that they are very tall and very good looking. So they've got an imposing model-like physique. They are definitively good aligned and they fight against evil no matter what, although they are quick to judge. In here again, it says they're almost never leaders and they tend to be loners. Some can be fanatical, but not all of them necessarily are. So that's what we get from the Monster Manual as far as lore. There's not a whole lot about these guys.
I find it interesting the point where it's like they're not leaders and they are lone wolves. In my mind, when I see an Aasimar or think of an Aasimar in a party, I would almost see them as that person is the leader of this group.
It really feels like it, doesn't it?
It feels like that should innately be built into it. So it's kind of an interesting play on they probably did live a life of isolation.
I almost feel like Gandalf is an Aasimar.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's plane touched, like by lore. I'm going to keep saying that. Megan's going to keep giggling to herself. So it's plane touched, like by lore, and he's got all these like magical powers bestowed upon him. But he's always off doing his own thing. He doesn't want the One Ring. He doesn't want to rule a kingdom. He just is off fighting evil for the sake of fighting evil.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. And he is tall and you can pick him out of a crowd, right?
Is he a gray fox?
I would, yeah. You mean
You seen that stat?
I'll throw that out there. I'm all right with it.
So I dug into another book. I found that there was more in 3.5 from the Planar Handbook, which told us, again, these are definitively good aligned. In 3.5, you had to be good. You are distinctly descendants from angels and humans, and you can display minor physical traits, but you mostly look human. That's different now in 5th edition. So the purists, the classic players out there are going to say, oh no, you can totally masquerade as a human, but I mean, 5th edition is very clear. No, you look like a fucking angel without wings.
They're constantly trying to hide their identity. That just seems like kind of incongruous to me, right?
Well, I mean, it's not like they're strutting around in Vogue all the time, you know what I mean? Like, look at how beautiful I am.
Well, the idea is that they're always wearing hoods and even masks as well to hide who they are. They will wear closed helms to kind of hold back. But then when it is time...
so beautiful, it's dangerous.
Well...
Even your armor is shining.
You remember, I'm gonna lean on Lord of the Rings again. You remember how much the people were looking to Aragorn to lead, even though Theoden was the king of Rohan? Everyone from Rohan was like, hey, Aragorn's the shit, right? And he has elven blood in him, and he's all like, look at me and my wispy chest hair, right? And everybody...
So wispy.
And so, like, everybody was super in love with that. And again, when you have, like, Galadriel shows up and Gimli is, like, clearly, totally besmitten with how beautiful she is. This is a distraction from the quest. We have good to do. There's things going on. Talk to the people that are actually the leaders, right? Do not focus on me, right? And so that's the altruism that you're going to get from Aasimar. So they do hide themselves because they don't want the limelight. It also said that they have, I thought this was kind of interesting. They've got an affinity with half-breeds, and they have a natural distrust and disliking of tieflings. They really lean on the good and evil alignments in 3.5. But the idea that half-elves and half-orcs and Genasi and whatnot are quick friends for these guys, because we all know what it means to be not quite human. We're all outcasts. We're the losers club, right?
Yeah.
Like, which feels a little. They actually used the word half-breed in it, and I went, that wouldn't fly today.
I can imagine them sitting in a group of people, the Aasimars, just like, oh, my people, and everyone else is like, God damn that guy for being so beautiful. Why is he here? Who brought this guy?
It also said specifically that there's no pantheon for Aasimars, but if they worship a god, it is good aligned or law aligned.
Yeah, checks out.
And they also said these guys are paladins.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
That makes sense.
No, but like, if you find one, they are a paladin. And it strongly encourages you to put character classes on NPCs in 3.5. So they're like, when you build it with paladin.
Yeah.
And then they gave us another book called Races of Destiny, which gave us even more Aasimar shit, which is these guys are champions of good who stay on the front lines in the war against evil. This is all the same shit over and over again, said different ways. They radiate goodwill and positivity. They are pleasant and approachable. Even though they don't want you to know who they are, they want to help as well, right? They're often driven and focused on their goals. Like, I'm really starting to see a constant theme here across all of the editions. But these guys don't like the spotlight. They avoid leadership and authority roles. That's the same kind of feel that we're getting in 5th edition. They are, now in this book, it said specifically, they are particularly friendly with other Aasimar. So if there's one or two that meet up, they will actually band together, and you can get little roving bands of Aasimar as well. But if they ever find a fallen Aasimar, oh, that bitch gonna die. They will raffle stomp you in the street. This is gonna be like a Wild West showdown. This is like the fallen Aasimar is in dire straits.
It's an anathema to
exactly
the regular Aasimar.
I just want to see two like good aligned Aasimars like cross each other in a marketplace. Like, you just know.
Yeah.
And then they just lock eyes like, did we just become best friends? Yup.
So again, it says they don't have a homeland, and that still tracks in 5th edition, right? They are loners, but now it says that they are profoundly religious. So in 3.5, it says there's a big lean on the religion, where in 5th edition we kind of abandon that.
Yeah.
You have an angel, but you don't necessarily have a god. But even back here, we see that in 3.5, they don't necessarily pray so much as they acknowledge their angelic roots, and they use their good deeds and actions to show their faith and the commitments to the gods. So paladins were very religious and divine back then as well. So that tracks for 3.5. But I like that. The idea that your Aasimar probably doesn't pray. Why would he? He's got a direct conduit to somebody else.
Yeah, I've got fucking Joe over here in the corner. And I can
Fucking
talk to
Angel
him.
Joe in the
Angel
corner.
Joe.
Goddamn Angel Joe. My name is Joseph.
It's Joe.
And again, they said that they're paladins, but they can also be clerics or monks because of the good and the law.
Yeah.
But they're rarely rogues and almost never barbarians. Which
sucks.
tracks still for the flavor.
Yeah.
You're not going to see many Aasimar barbarians. Is there anything else? I don't see many Aasimar cleric or warlocks. Even though you have a celestial warlock, I feel like that's really rare.
Because you have to like promise yourself to a power, basically,
Yeah.
to do that. So
I feel like it defeats the purpose.
yeah, or there's gonna be conflict of interest.
So is there anything else that they're clearly not, or they clearly are, off the top of your head? Like, I don't think they're a bard. If they don't like the spotlight, they're not going to be a bard.
No, probably not.
Yeah, I feel like anything majorly charisma based is, even though like paladins are charisma based.
Yeah, but you get like the Divine Soul Sorcerer. Like, Divine Soul Sorcerer, by the way, has the same fucking origin story. You have this magic power because one of your parents is an angel.
It's almost built into it.
Right? So, like, clearly those
Sorcerer.
things are supposed to go hand in hand, but it drives me nuts. I fucking hate, you're stepping on the toes.
The Divine Soul Sorcerer sounds like the, less liked little brother version of it.
Oh, yeah, you weren't picked by the god, but you
Yeah.
still have that angelic shit in your bloodline.
Your happy accident.
It's the longest air quotes I've ever seen in my life.
So I dug around in 4th edition as well to see what they had to say about Aasimar in there, because I was desperate for more information. And I found that they are mentioned once, and only once, and I mean there's literally the word published once in one book in all of 4th edition. Aasimar do not exist. There was another race called Deva, which are not the angels that we have now. The Deva then are servants of good gods who bound themselves to mortal flesh. And they're all about wisdom and intelligence. They don't have dark vision. They get bonuses to history and religion checks. They're resistant to necrotic, and they're linked to the astral sea. So that doesn't have anything to do with Aasimars or anything else. Also, if they become corrupted, these devas turn into Rakshasa, which is a huge departure from what Aasimar are. But in some regions, they call them Aasimar. Fuck. Okay, 4th edition. I don't know what fucking drugs you're on.
Get the fuck out of here.
But get the fuck out. So, but that got me looking at what the mechanics for 5th edition are, right? It's a +2 to charisma. So, I mean, they're going to be, if not a paladin, a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're usually good, but they don't have to be. 30-foot movement, 60-foot dark vision when shades of gray, pretty standard. This is pretty much every one of your Volos races so far. They do get resistance to necrotic and radiant, and they have healing hands, which is a power that they have, which is one action. You get to touch one other creature, and that creature can regain hit points equal to the Aasimars level once per long rest. You also get to know the light cantrip, and you know common and celestial.
I don't understand the light cantrip. Like, why would you get dark vision and then also the light?
Because
Help
you
out
are a
your
beacon of
friends.
light for others,
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
so. That makes sense.
right? Like, this is the blessing from the gods working through you for others. What, oh my god, what if you were just a bodyguard for that guy? The gods are like, hey, we're going to send you a bodyguard. Wait, somebody find me a baby.
Yeah.
Yes, find me a baby.
Well, I'm going to check my holy Rolodex.
Yeah.
Because he's a holy Rolodex. And he's going to then find out, okay, which one of my angels has banged a mortal? There we go.
I feel like there has to be a lot of like HR paperwork to be like, okay, who have you touched?
Eskimo brothers for heaven.
They literally have a human resources department.
Yeah, and then on one line he gets a piece of paper is like, Joseph. Really?
Fucking Angel Joe over there.
Just having a good time.
So I went looking at 3.5 to find out if that tracks. They didn't have sub races, right? So they just had +2 to charisma and a +2 to wisdom. Also dark vision, bonus to perception checks, which makes sense. But back then it was called spot and listen. They can cast daylight once a day, and they get some resistances to acid, cold, and electricity damage. I also got a fuck ton of languages. So they were a little bit more angelic back then, and more paragons of good, as opposed to what we have in 5th edition, which is like, you're a chosen one, you're not quite a demigod, you're like a pseudo-quasi-demigod. Eventually, maybe, if you follow the directions of what's-his-face is going to talk to you every night in your dreams. Right? It's a little bit more convoluted and a little bit more mortal, which is why we don't have that level adjustment in 5th edition, which, I don't know, I kind of liked. So, let's grab dice again before we cut to a little break. And roll! I got a 19. I'm just talking to myself.
10.
Oh, 8.
So, the first question is, how do you feel about the identity of hiding one's identity from the rest of the party? Man, I hate this, and I have done this in like every one of the campaigns. Every time I've had 2 Aasimars. My last campaign had 2 Aasimars. We had Terry was one, and he was dicking around. And he was just this superhuman cleric who, by the way, is an Aasimar. And I think he held it quiet for like 2 sessions.
Like half of a session, let's
Oh,
be
yeah,
real.
well-
I think he busted out his wings in like the first battle we had.
Yeah. And then there was Charlie, who played a rogue mastermind Scourge Aasimar. No, sorry, he was a fallen Aasimar, if I remember correctly. So, and he kept that shit on lock for like 6
Right, in,
sessions.
close to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just did everything in his power to not use his angelic, like his fallen Aasimar shit, right? Clearly, we have sub races for this as well. That +2 to charisma is not all you get. But depending on the sub race, you get a different one, right? So everybody knew there was something up with Charlie because he kept having, he was a mastermind. He had 900 different like identities, and there were all of these NPCs that he just knew. But hold on, I got to go get my disguise kit so that this guy will recognize me in a different way.
Different names, different disguises, whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
That's
different
pretty impressive, actually.
different safe
It's a lot
houses
of
in the
work.
city. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He and I put in a lot of work behind the scenes, but I knew about it from the beginning. I never want to do that again. It was neat, but it was a fuck of a lot of work. The payoff was cool. I've seen it now. I don't need I'm just a human. Nobody look at me.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with it.
Yeah,
Megan, how do you feel about it? As someone who was in the party with people who tried to hide it twice, is it as cool?
Yeah, it is for being a player. It's fun. Because for me as a player, I like watching other people have their moments. That's like my favorite thing in the world. That if your character has like a shining moment, I love that for you. I'm here for you. I will be a character that will support you in anything that you need to do to have that moment for yourself.
Unless you're Dan.
Unless you're Dan.
Yeah.
Or Terry. Everybody else, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So like watching that and watching them have that moment was very rewarding because it was rewarding for them.
Yeah.
I feel like it sucks when the moment is not rewarding for them because then it's awkward for everybody at the table. So to your point, it is a lot of work for a DM to make that moment and reveal worth it for not only the person who's having to like enjoying it themselves, but everybody else at the table. Like it's such a weird balance that you have to do. So it's not easy to do. Me as a DM, I would do it for a character if they really, really wanted to. But again, from my point earlier, it would have to be with someone who's a veteran who knows how to play the game, have those secret conversations, like that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's going to flop and then everyone's going to be sad.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you should really keep it for a secret from the people at the table. Yeah, sure, you can play it in game, but I think everybody should just know.
So the player should know, but the character shouldn't.
Yeah, that's fine.
That can be a lot of fun too. You don't see many people do that. Oh, I'm just acting like my character would. Like, okay, shut the fuck up. Remove yourself for a second. Yeah, right. But like, I think that's a really neat way of doing it too. That raises the tension as well when you've got. Look, I've been at the table when the rogue has stolen the gold from the paladin while they slept, and everyone else at the table, the players know, but the paladin character doesn't. No. And all the players at the table are like, "Well, fuck, now what? What's going to happen next time he reaches into his pocket?" Right?
I don't know. I like keeping small secrets at the table that, like, again, to your point, everybody knows as players, but as characters don't. Because even just recently, I played a character who was a princess, which I did not plan to keep a secret from anybody. But then Dan made a big deal about it, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm not telling you.
Well, Megan was one of two princesses that joined the party in session 1. So, and the other one was like, I am a princess. And Dan's like, oh my God. And then when it was revealed that Megan was, Dan was out of the room. Yeah. He had to run upstairs and deal with the kids. So he came back in and missed the moment. And went like 3 more sessions without knowing. And everyone's like, oh, so Megan, you're a princess. He's like, what?
It was a good moment for me. But yeah, I enjoy the fact that everybody at the table kind of knew. It made it funnier. Like it made it more of a funny moment and more entertaining than anything.
It's a lot less stressful trying to keep that secret. I played a changeling and I tried to keep that a secret. Didn't even make it a single session. Like, I fucked that up so fast.
You're like, ta-da!
Yeah.
Couldn't help it.
I couldn't keep track of, like, what my face looked like and, like, when I did it. And I was like, fuck it, you know what?
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is if you're keeping it a secret, you are, like, kneecapping yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You have all of these powers that you can't use. So it's like playing without a race for a little while there, which is annoying. Do you guys have any tips for players who have a character on a holy mission? Megan?
I get to go first?
I'm holding my action on this one.
I feel like I've gone last every single time, so this feels very nice. When it comes to having like holy missions and like this is your goal, I feel like as a player, you definitely want to have it in your mind, but try and make it so all the other players have a reason to either help you or be a part of it. So, because what your holy mission might not actually be like the ultimate goal of the party. So when we're talking about keeping secrets, I feel like it shouldn't necessarily be a secret. I feel like if you're going to have like a goal and like something that's like a stretch goal, talk about it. It's what your character's built to do. There's no reason why you're not talking about it.
Yeah.
Or like being open and honest when you go to a town, be like, oh, I have to go to the local XYZ because I need to do my derp. Yeah. Like it just becomes a part of the party as opposed to just you on your own solo mission. That would be my tip. And
DMs should be aware of that too. They should be crafting it so that, I mean, it can be a subplot, but tie it into the main story. Do not, I see this with rogues all the time. I'm going to go into the market during the downtime and just steal a bunch while everybody else is in the tavern. Great. So then when there's that bar fight that broke out, you're down one person because you split the fucking party. Or the rogue gets caught and everybody else has to go rescue them from jail. Stop splitting the party in downtime, right? And you're going to see that with some Aasimars on holy missions as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you have any?
I would just say try not to steamroll the rest of the party trying to accomplish it. You know, like try to get them behind you, right? Like
lawful good does not mean stupid.
Yeah. I mean, like, an Aasimar is like a holy crusader, right? They should be inspiring people to do what's right and do what's good. So I wrote maybe even keep it a secret for a while until your PC has learned to trust the party.
Yeah, but I mean, keeping it a secret means that you're not bowling over everybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the moment you reveal it, don't just be like, and so now we have derailed the campaign.
Yeah.
And we have to go do this now. It's a balance,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe not mention it's a holy crusade or a holy thing or holy quest.
It's just something that's important to you.
Yeah. Tease it out.
Yeah, honestly, I think just use your common sense and remember that fun in D&D is fun for everyone, not just for you. My big note actually is for DMs, and that is if you have a holy mission or you're doing visions or you know that this is going on in the background, especially if your Aasimar is keeping it a secret or keeping their identity from at least the NPCs, I'm going to prep my nightly visions ahead of time on a piece of paper and hand it across the table. And then, or I'm going to narrate to everybody, this is what you dreamt about. I'm going to roll up a random table, and I'm just going to roll what everybody dreams about, except I'm going to roll for the Aasimar, but I specifically have something that's not on the random table for them. So I will fake the roll and then give them their proper vision, just to hide that in and among the rest of the narrative. If you are going to have a character that builds an entire experience around visions and angelic guides, and you don't play with that as a DM, they're wasting their time, and you're wasting their time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, communication, that's the key here.
Yeah. I feel like there's nothing more that I love as a player than getting slid across the table a upside down piece of paper that is special for me. It makes me feel good about myself. But there's nothing I hate more than watching another player get one and I don't get to read it.
I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that.
He's going to start sliding other people pieces of paper.
I'm just going to slide you a piece of paper that says you're special.
What's up?
Psych.
This is nothing. This is a nothing piece of paper.
Tell Dan this is interesting and he can't read this.
Can we just do this now as a thing?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now comes the time in every single episode where we break to what we like to call a commercial, but it's really just us pimping our own shit, and it makes Dan very uncomfortable to have to eat shit like this when we ask you guys to do stuff for us. But we love you, and we love doing this podcast, but it is not freaking cheap. And I'm going to break the fourth wall, and I'm going to pull it back, and I'm going to say, guys, we could use the help. We are a struggling little podcast doing our own thing, and it comes entirely out of our pockets. And we got to buy books to review them and to be up to date on the regular stuff. We have to subscribe to D&D Beyond, and of course, there's the web hosting and paying Podbean and everything else. So we're asking, please, if you can find it in your hearts, to kick a little bit in our direction. We are doing everything in our power to release as many different shows and episodes as we can, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of love, and a lot of money.
And to be completely honest, we have the setup here that we've had for about a year and a half now, and
if we could all get better mics, this would be a better show.
Yeah. So scripts and jokes out the window, guys. This is a bit of a passion project, and
we don't have a Kickstarter, we don't have a Patreon. We do have a donate button on the website, and we do have a store with, we're selling a lot of stickers these days. Which is interesting, but they're only $1.50 a piece, so it only goes so far, and we only get a cut of that. So,
as a balding man, buy more hats.
Anyways, please and thank you for whatever you can kick our way. If you don't, just know that your clicks and your listens feed our love and our passion as well. So thank you for everything that you do, even just by showing up and listening. If you have any more that you can throw our way, we would be more than grateful. So, before Volos came out, there was also Aasimars that existed in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But it is not the Aasimar that we're used to seeing now. So I'm just going to touch on this because there may be some Dungeon Masters out there who only have access to the DMG and who will hand this out to players to say, hey, you can build this kind of character. But they're going to be operating with slightly different mechanics. So let's go through it. The DMG has this really cool section about how to build races and sub-races. They've got it for classes and subclasses and backgrounds and magic items and all that kind of shit, but they have this specifically for how to build a race. And they use an Aasimar as an example This was literally the third book published in this edition. So the version that's in Volos has overwritten this. But you still get to see kind of holdovers. They didn't have a subrace. So it was just a straight Aasimar the way that Tiefling is just a straight Tiefling. And they were very much considered to be the other side of the coin of the Tiefling. They say as much in the DMG, and they go out of their way to craft the Aasimar based on how the Tiefling interacts. So they are called glorious humans with lustrous hair, flawless skin, and piercing eyes. So it's still the same kind of description that we're getting. But they said that these guys in the old lore, and your DM may be operating off of this, they rise to the apex of societies, usually becoming leaders and heroes, which is the exact opposite of the rest of the shit. So that's been overwritten. I would be completely fine with it being either way. Look, the idea in 5th edition is that your characters have free will.
Yeah.
There are tendencies. There may even be racial preferences towards certain mentalities or whatnot based on their upbringing and whatnot. But you can be a leader if you want to be. It's recommended that they are built to be at odds with tieflings and that they would be clerics or paladins, which means they get a +2 to charisma and a +1 to wisdom. Because again, they want paladins first, clerics second. They get dark vision because fuck, of course they do. Tieflings also had dark vision, and that's what they're really mirroring this against. They get resistance to radiance damage, and it says here that this reflects the celestial origin. The same way that devils have resistance to fire, right? But because radiant isn't as common a damage type as fire, when tieflings have fire, they're going to add necrotic as well because it's the antithesis of what they're about.
Yeah.
And then they also get lesser restoration at 3rd level and daylight cast at 3rd level at 5th level. And they can recharge those on a long rest. So it's not just the light cantrip, because tieflings get hellish rebuke and other shit. And as they level up, they get more spells as well, just inherently.
I create the sun.
Pretty much. So, do you guys like that? Or do you like the subclasses better?
I like the subclasses better.
Yeah, subclasses give more variety.
Yeah.
And to your point, more free will of what you want to do with your character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is, I'm not going to point my finger at DM and say, hey, you suck for doing it this way. It's in the printed material, but there's better shit out there.
It's a good way to have control. If
Yes.
you wanted them to be very specific ASMR, like it's a good way to say this. If you want to do this, this is what you have to build. Like it does. It's a good safety net to have that.
I also think it's good for your generic NPC,
Yeah.
right?
Joe.
Yeah, Angel Joe. Well, no, not Joseph. Angel Joseph's over there.
That's true.
His son Josiah, though.
There you go.
Let's grab dice
Yep.
and let's roll to cover the subclasses. I have gone first every freaking time. Yeah.
I've gone last every single time.
So,
Except for that gift you gave me that one time.
so I can start with a Scourge, which I think is actually probably the most popular of the Aasimars from what I could see online. The Protector is really on the nose, and the Fallen is super edgy. The Scourge kind of sits in the middle. These guys, they feel the call of vengeance and a powerful calling to destroy evil. That is their thing. They are driven more than the others. They're the Scourge because they will purge the earth of evil. That is their whole thing. They have this desire burning in them to vanquish darkness. And it can range anywhere from a passion to an obsession. It's really hard to play an obsessive character at a table. I don't recommend it because you just end up becoming a weird mirror of Golem. And that doesn't often, it doesn't often go well, and you will probably piss off the rest of your party. These guys are the ones that like to hide themselves as well, but they actually wear masks like blindfolds over their eyes to block out the world, and they maintain focus on their foes and their mission by not being distracted because they blindfolded themselves.
Some kind of monk shit right there.
Yep. But they will
For
whip
horses.
They will whip that blindfold off when battle happens. So roll initiative, I pull the blindfold off.
What a great dramatic anime moment. Just like,
I think that's really cool and flavorful, but I would honestly do that like horses. I really would, so that you will stay focused on the thing directly in front of you. You're not distracted by your peripheral vision and shit like that. Maybe Maybe it's like the fucking... Remember those little Kanye glasses everybody had with the...
I was about to say those weird, stupid slit glasses, or just full on like horse blinders, just on the side. So when you have to talk to you, to look directly at you.
or what about like blackout goggles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay, now we're getting to like some Chronicles of Riddick shit right there.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, kind of like that. And you flip the lever and the lenses flip, and now you can see.
Not as a dramatic anime moment
Yeah.
though. We're just like, yeah,
That's
let's do
really
this.
that's really dorky. I just imagine those the glasses that flip up with the sun.
Oh no, the dad clip-on
Yeah.
ones. That's when they're 160.
Listen, pal, I'm about to take out the trash.
Oh my god.
Someone's about to put the pal in paladin.
Oh my god.
All right, so they get a +1 to the Constitution. So this is your charisma Constitution build, which again I feel like sorcerers really lean heavily. Paladins too, but sorcerers can lean into this. And then they get something called Radiant Consumption. This is something you get at 3rd level. You can use it once per long rest, and it takes an action to do this. You release the divine energy inside, and you start to glow. Specifically, this allows you to radiate out of your eyes and mouth, and is intense enough to nearly burn you with the energy that comes pouring out of you. So the idea of you wearing a mask or goggles or whatever, and suddenly you whip it off and are like glowing from the eyes is a really neat. Talk about an anime moment.
Yeah, it's more like an X-Men moment though.
Kind of.
Or like
yeah.
a Fifth Element moment. Or
Yeah.
like, I'm getting a lot of movie references today. I'm sorry.
So the idea here is that you are illuminated with bright light, and you shed it in a 10-foot radius with 10 feet of dim light beyond it. At the end of each of your turns, you and every other creature within 10 feet of you take radiant damage, no save.
Dope.
And you take it equal to your level, rounded up. Additionally, once per turn, you can add additional radiant damage equal to your level to any attack or spell.
Yeah.
So you just glow, and you are fighting with radiance everywhere. This lasts for 1 minute or until you end it with a bonus action. Mm-hmm. So you become a lighthouse, essentially in the dark.
A beacon of some kind.
I was thinking more just like fire.
But it's specifically not fire. It is radiant damage.
Yeah.
Right? So
It's a Dragon Ball Z reference for sure, Cease.
Oh yeah, Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that.
yeah, I think this is neat. I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really flavorful with the blindfold thing, but that's it.
But oddly specific. Like if you were trying to keep your character a secret and all of a sudden you have a human rock up with a blindfold on, you're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, how many players around the table know that?
That's true.
Right. Like, did you guys know about this before this episode?
Did not know.
Not really.
No.
Right. So, I mean, unless you are, look, I feel like 1 out of every 20 D&D players loves Aasimar, and I don't know why. They've played one a couple of times in their life, and they're eager for the next one. So they may know this, but I think most tables will probably be able to just like, oh, that's weird. He's a blind guy for the first little while.
Cool.
But keep in mind, you pull it off for every battle. You pull the blindfold off, but you don't have this. You only do it once per long rest, right? So you can pull the blindfold off, fight for a while, put the blindfold back on, wander around, but you don't do the like glowy eye shit until shit hits the fan. Mm-hmm. So who's next?
That would be this guy. So the fallen Aasimar is an Aasimar who is either touched by a dark power, corrupting their divinity, and turning them into something tainted, or has turned away from their divine purpose and lost the favor of the god that spawned them. They can be redeemed, though, and turn back to either a Protector or Scourge Aasimar if they find themselves on the path to righteousness and prove themselves to be rid of the taint of their souls.
Can you say taint again?
Taint.
Yeah.
Would you like me to say it slower?
Yes.
Taint. That felt weird in my
That'd
mouth.
just be the
That felt weird in my mouth too.
guys, stop it. We've already talked about taints and raisins today when I need to go. That's an interesting point, though. The fact that they can seek retribution should they feel like it. It's like one mistake does not a bad ASMR make.
Yeah. I kind of like it, and I think it adds a little more flavor to role playing.
Yeah.
In terms of it.
I would super clear that as a DM before you're going to make a character fall.
Yeah.
Like session 0, hey, you're going to play an Aasimar? Oh, cool, you're a protector Aasimar? That's neat. How do you feel about falling?
Yeah.
I'd be like, yes.
You would be, but some
Session
people...
1.
Some people would be pissed.
Well, I like it because it's not even just, that they've been corrupted by an evil power, right? Like, it's not just that, like, they became a warlock and now they're beholden to the Great Old One. It's like, they're not, like, I'm sick and tired of you telling me what to do. I don't want this divine fucking purpose and leave me alone.
Yeah.
And then they go the other way.
It can also be Joe going to the big man and being like, hey, like, I've been working with this guy and I don't like him anymore. Can we just take him off the roster? Like, I'm done with it.
I also like the idea of, I am tired of this vow of celibacy. For 1 year, I'm going to do the Amish thing and
Run,
go out
Springer!
there.
Then I gotta try and get my shit back together.
I will revow up after this, but for now I'm gonna get my fuck on.
Necessary, yeah.
Okay, so the Fallen Aasimar get a +1 to strength, along with a +2 from their... so the Fallen Aasimar also get a +1 to strength, along with a +2 to charisma, like all the other Aasimars get, and they gain the Necrotic Shroud ability at the 3rd level. When activated, the Fallen Aasimar's eyes turn black, and it sprouts decrepit, bony, flightless wings.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one Charlie had.
On the transformation, all creatures, you gotta be careful with this one because when you cast it,
You gotta slow down. You're going so fast.
I said I was going slower this time too. I heard
You were doing real good, and then this.
Okay.
Just that point again. That's
When activated, the Fallen Aasimar's eyes turn black, and it sprouts bony, decrepit, flightless wings. On transformation, all creatures you can see within 10 feet of you must make a charisma saving throw. The DC being 8 plus your proficiency bonus and your charisma modifier. Oh, oops. Creaking. Move too much. All creatures you can see within 10 feet of you must make a charisma saving throw. The DC being 8 plus your proficiency bonus and your charisma modifier. On a failed throw, creatures are frightened until the end of your next turn. On top of that, for the next minute, unless ended by a bonus action, you can deal additional necrotic damage to one creature once per turn, whenever you deal damage to that creature. The damage is equal to your level, and you can use this ability once per long rest. Not great all in all, but I mean, it's kind of fun flavored.
Yeah.
I like it. It's really flavorful with the freaking
the eyes
bone
turning
wings,
black and the bone wings.
Because it works on your allies too, right? Like
Yeah.
it's everybody within range.
But it's interesting. It's everyone you can see.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case with the Scourge Aasimar. So if it's an invisible creature, the Scourge Aasimar hits them, but the Fallen Aasimar may not.
No, interesting. I didn't think about that actually. So what I like about this Aasimar is that there's a lot of backstory options for it. Do you want to play a redemption arc? Were you disillusioned and turned away from your calling? Or were you seduced by an opposite power seeking revenge on the deity that spawned you? Were you treated as a freak and a sideshow by those who knew your pedigree when you were growing up? Or maybe you just got sick and tired of doing what other people told you and wanted to strike out on your own, of course.
Not today, Mom.
Turn off the Netflix.
Get on my back, Dad.
Turn into an angel. You're not my real dad.
Oh my god.
In terms of roleplay, this strikes me very much like a broody emo with an anti-authoritarian streak. Perfect for that edgy character you've been wanting to play for a long time.
I feel like this one is when your Aasimar Paladin starts picking up levels of Rogue.
Yeah. Warlock. I want to play a Hexblade Warlock Fallen Aasimar.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's a mouthful.
That's a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
But don't hate it.
No?
I like that too because oh man, what if you played a Death Pact Angel who was masquerading as like a deva,
Okay.
and then you reveal to the Aasimar that, oh no, hey, by the way, all your powers come from evil. You are fallen, and these powers and whatnot is a reflection of your own attitude and your own place in the world. You got to go through your own redemption to get your protector or scourging like Aasimar back. That's interesting. Why do you change? Is it your blessing gets changed, or is it your soul gets corrupted and therefore the divine energy inside you is twisted and moves differently. Like, are we flipping the lens in like a kaleidoscope?
Yeah, it's an angst thing. It's just like, oh,
Just pure angst.
I was once blessed and now I'm not. I'm sad about this. I'm going to grow out my hair and join a punk band.
You just turned 13 and here you go.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the poetry I wrote when I was 13.
Like you know that the
My
fallen,
magic is black like my soul.
Like my soul.
the fallen Aasimar paints his nails black too. Right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Everyone, what do you do in your downtime? Oh, I'm learning new spells. Oh, I'm going to heal up this guy. I'm going to talk to my animal companion. I got to pull up my nail polish.
I paint my nails. Write my poetry book. Yeah, absolutely. I got to pull out my sketchbook. I got to do some sketches. It's just like giant pieces of chalk, just like massive circles.
Your freaking angelic guide is just evanescence.
Oh my god!
Oh, I would have that loaded up on my phone too. So when you blow the necrotic shroud, boom! There's some.
It's got to be wake me up.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god! This has made every moment Charlie ever had so much better in my head.
For those of you that are older than 40, you can use the Clash instead. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. My turn? Do I get to go now?
Yeah, all you.
Fantastic. So I'm going to talk about the Protector. And I guess the easiest way to describe this is that they're just empowered to, by the likeness of goodness, to protect those that are weaker. It's very simple, kind of like your Yojimbo courtier or like your knight in shining armor or what have you. You are compelled to protect those that are weaker than you. Or, and like, I also read it as like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a person or a being, just protect something that is
It could be
weaker
like
than you.
an ideal that you are protecting.
Exactly, right?
Like just goodness towards animals.
It's true. But I was just thinking it's kind of like your insert Kingdom Heartness Fight the Darkness reference here. So
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So their stat boost is they do get Wisdom score +1, which it's weird in my mind because there's not a lot of protection classes, well, shall we say, that like are wisdom based.
Well, no, that
Druid.
they all are.
Yeah.
Wisdom clerics are wisdom based.
That's true. But I was thinking more like, because if I'm thinking protection, I'm thinking your paladins, I'm thinking your like already charisma based characters.
See, but that's a you thing.
That's a me
Megan.
thing. Okay,
that's
I
a
will
you
take
thing.
that.
Where in order to protect someone, I have to carry a shield and literally protect
Yes,
them with
100%.
it. But instead of protecting their soul, or like by giving wisdom to someone else, right? By,
Okay,
like,
this is just
my
Miyagi now, is what we're saying.
Well,
here.
it could be, right? Like,
It's true.
There's a lot of Aasimars that are just out there to help inspire others, right? Like, he's not going to be the bard, but he's going to be like the bard's agent,
Yeah.
right? Like, super charismatic. Hey, we're going to get a deal down. It's going to be good. My wisdom's through the roof, so my insight's going to be awesome on this too.
Yeah.
So I'll strike a deal, but I don't want to be up on stage. So
I just do love the idea of like this is very much in my mind the relationship that my character and Dan's character always has, where I'm protecting an idiot. That's just what I imagine, like to your point earlier, where it's just like, I'm sending you down to protect this guy. This guy? I had to keep this guy alive? Are you kidding me? Okay, you're not joking. This is my life now.
to be fair, Dan doesn't play idiots. His guys are really smart. They're just fools.
Yes.
They just stumble ass backwards into the worst scenario possible every fucking time.
You're a very smart man, Dan.
Book smart, not street smart.
Oh, very much so. Like, for example, when the entire party was fighting literal demons that were like super powered, there was a Merilith that was fighting the level 11 party. The Merilith is CR17. Dan is literally upside down, studying literal shit written inside of an outhouse. That was one thing that happened.
Just one.
There were many times that Meg was like, oh, fuck, where's Dan? What is he doing now? I gotta go talk to... He got so many NPCs killed.
Yeah. It's classic Dan. All right, well, back to the Protector. So at level 3, you get your Radiant Soul. So basically, as an action, you reach your Super Saiyan level 1 with glimmering eyes, and of course, you kind of sprout your big wings. This is your wing spreading angel character.
Oh, so this is... Can you imagine being a Scourge Aasimar and everybody else has wings? You're just like, what the
What the fuck? You got this black angel over here, this fucking white radiant angel over here, and you're just like, what?
I could shoot lasers out of my eyes, guys.
I can do what I promise.
But it hurts me too.
Yeah, it hurts me too. That should be a part of the Scourge.
Yeah, it scares itself.
Just scares himself.
But only as far as the poetry is concerned. Sometimes I even frighten myself.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, anyway, so this lasts for 1 minute, or if you choose to end it with bonus action like the other ones, and can only be used again after a long rest. You also gain a flying speed of 30.
That's it?
And then you can deal extra radiant damage equal to your level.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
So it's similar to...
Instead of the aura, you get a fly speed.
Yeah.
And bomb-ass wings.
Yeah.
This is, you know what? This is when the cult captures you. To be like, pop the wings. We will torture you until your wings pop out. Then we're going to steal the feathers off of them.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. Like, this is why I was going to go with they would just steal wings. But, like, not all ASMRs have them. So they would capture you thinking you're an ASMR and torture you until your wings pop. But they aren't, not, if you're a Scourge, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So...
Like, you're just screwed.
You're just screwed. Which is very dark and sinister, and I enjoy that a lot.
Can you change from a protector to a Scourge? I know they can both go into fallen. It doesn't say anywhere that you can't. But I'm just thinking, what happens if someone rips your wings off?
No.
And you're not quite fallen because you're still like...
I still want to do good, but now I'm pissed.
Yeah.
What a great way to make that triangular transition. Like, that's cool.
That's fun.
Good.
I like this idea. I'm going to write that one down.
Of course, can you imagine looking at the player's face and the DM just has the freaking Garistro rip the wings off the back of... Well...
We watched one player get their wings ripped off before.
We had a Dragonborn that was imbued with the essence of dragon, so actually grew a tail and wings and whatnot. And then literally Demogorgon reached down, picked her up, and tore the wings off of her back.
It was my character's fault.
Yeah, and you had the opportunity to try to stop that, but decided not to, literally in the name of the greater good, and it was the right decision, but also your best friend got literally tortured and delimbed in front of you.
My
That
bestie.
is an emotional roller coaster.
It was a
there.
great campaign.
No, it was dark.
It was so dark. But yeah, as I said, like a good role playing for this one would be that like you pick a character that you're protecting. It can be someone on your team that would make it easy for an easy role play excitement thing. I feel like this one can go with any of the angels to be as a messenger. You could go battle because you're sent to protect those that are weaker going into battle. You could do Deva where you're just sent to protect plants, whatever your thing is. Like, it can really go in any direction.
Whereas, yeah, the Scourge is clearly a Planetar or one of the Ravnica angels, right? It's all battle.
Yeah.
Right. And yours is just sad.
Just sad.
There's just a lot of mascara going.
Yeah.
Running mascara, too.
Yes, but like purposeful.
No,
You put it on and
Oh,
like...
like the Crow? Like, it looks like the Crow. You ever see that movie?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever seen the Crow? Did you just ask me if I'd ever seen the Crow?
Yeah.
I was the right age.
You looked at me like I was an idiot. So I wasn't sure.
I'm used to looking at Dan across the table.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. It was just a knee-jerk reaction.
I feel like you're working with the two like movie buffs here, so we
right.
got you. As a bonus tip for DMs and or players playing with ASMRs, do not play too hard into the holier than thou bullshit. I feel it's very easy to fall into that trap that you know the best are the best, and you're to our point earlier of talking about like your conquest is all that you care about.
It's almost like it's hard baked into it, which is annoying. Also, interesting, these guys are really beautiful and they have high charisma. Not every high charisma race does.
Yeah.
Which means, once again, charisma is not physical appearance.
Yeah.
Which means you're probably prettier than the bard. Don't be an ass about it.
Yeah, don't be a dick. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Terry.
I'm really curious to know what it's like to play with Terry now.
Well,
It's a treat.
You're in the Call of Cthulhu campaign. You're going to learn real quick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He has very specific characterizations that he latches onto. Great role player.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, so invested in his role playing. But every once in a while, he plays a dick character, and you're not ready for it. You're just... Because it will be funny when it's pointed at everybody else. But then when it's pointed at you, it is infuriating.
Yeah.
And to DM it, I just keep poking him to do that to other people. So.
Yeah, I think his ASMR character was the first day where Terry and I yelled at each other at the table.
Oh, fuck, that was good, too. That was life or death stakes that you guys met under and just went off.
It's a good time. But yeah, don't play dick.
Okay. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and r/It's a Mimic on Reddit. You can also feel free to send us any questions or comments or concerns to info@itsamimic.com. And we'd love to have any questions you got so we can air them on our mailbag episodes.
Yeah, and we're going to start rotating through the hosts on the mailbags as well. It's traditionally been me, Dan, and Terry for, I think, almost all of them, except for the one that you, Dave, and Brad took over the studio.
What a great time.
Yeah, but so we're going to start rotating through as well. So even Kyle, you're going to get some of these. Good fucking luck. So if you guys have questions for Kyle or James who are completely unprepared for this shit, or you just want to give Coffee Bitch Dave a hard time, please send in some questions. And stop just gearing them towards Dan's furniture. We get a lot of questions about Dan's bondage furniture.
It's uncomfortable for everybody else involved.
You'd think so, but Terry's getting weirdly comfortable with it.
Well, I mean,
He seems to be the biggest cheerleader for it of all.
he wants to be into sell it.
Yeah.
Custom.
All right, so I have a couple more questions before we wrap this episode up, okay? And the first one is, what does it look like when you guys build a character with an Aasimar? What's your knee-jerk reaction here? Let's grab our dice and roll again. Oh, I got a 3.
I'm in the middle this time.
17. I don't, because they offend my moral sensibilities.
Just hard stop. You don't.
Yeah, hard.
you know-
I hate the idea of a child being born and then for one purpose, right? They're like, this is the only reason we're giving you life, so you have to do this, and then they start at a very young age.
You would absolutely be a fallen Aasimar. If you were born like that, you'd be like, fuck that noise.
100%. And like giving a kid, I don't know,
Divine visions,
right? Like, do they even know what those are? Do they know that it's divine vision? And what if like their ancestor got fucked by a god like way back, so nobody even remembers this? So you don't even know that this happened because it's so far back, and now you're stuck with these visions. Like, that sounds a lot like schizophrenia. So I would be worried that I was going crazy from a young age.
Oh, that is a cool origin
that.
story, though. Getting pulled out of a sanitarium.
Yeah, right? Because people don't know why you're having these visions, and they look so real to you, and you're so convinced, but everybody's like, you're freaking crazy. So
I would totally play the shit out of that character.
Yeah.
No, okay, so hold on. I would go with Hermit, background, Oath of Conquest Paladin, and probably a Scourge or a Fallen Aasimar, where you have escaped from the sanitarium, you present as human, and you refuse to use any of your Aasimar shit until you hit, let's say, level 4 or 5, when you go up against the lieutenant of the big bad evil guy, and everyone's just like looking at you out of the corner of your eye because you showed up broke, be like, I'm gonna save the world. And everyone's like, oh, okay. Like, I can't go back to that town, they're looking for me. But I'm gonna save everybody. And you just played it like crazy over the top until all of a sudden one day you fucking do. I told you, I've been having dreams. I've been having dreams for 20 years.
with a big scraggly beard with like a twitchy eye.
Oh, totally.
I'm gonna do it. Just trust me.
Yeah.
It would really make a good like NPC too, like the guidance character for your NPCs, like your characters, because they would just be this crazy person spouting out these like random prophecies,
like the
but
quest
they were,
giver.
yeah, like the quest giver, but they were sent to protect you because they are of this god or what have you. But they don't know that. They just know that they're supposed to give you these messages, but they don't know. It's just this weird, crazy uncle over in the corner. Like, you don't even know that they've been like touched by a fucked angel. Like it's like.
I think that's awesome. I would play the shit out of that character though. Right? That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, it is so stereotypical, isn't it? Like, I get a lot of new players like Aasimars, but I feel like once you've seen it, once you've played it, which is too bad because I feel like the new players that play them are really much like they're there to be an angel. I want to be an angel character, right? And that's what they're in for. But you're really going to get the best money for the best value for your money if you're an experienced role player that knows how to dig into this and understands the idea of keeping a secret, letting other people take the spotlight, only using your ability once a day, and maybe not even on some days, you're holding it for the right moments. When do you recognize when those are? As an experienced player, you would know that, right? So I feel like new players want it and experienced players don't. But that's really how it should be.
Should flip that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Megan, when you build a character, if you were to build an Aasimar, let me guess, it's a paladin. She's blonde.
That's the obvious answer. And I was going to say, because I am the exact opposite, I would build the shit out of an Aasimar, and it would be a holier than thou, like, bitch-ass woman. But anyways. I digress. But honestly, after reading The Protector, and I was kind of, like, leaning into the fact that you don't necessarily have to be protecting a person, I thought of building a druid, because that was the only, like, stat-wise block that I felt really kind of fit well. Not only because I would just have them there to protect plants and plant life, not humans. They say fuck humans. I'm here to protect the plant life. Get out of my forest, Becky.
So Oath of Ancients paladin?
Basically. But the reason why I picked druid was because I would love to see a flying horse or a flying pig. And there is a very, very long discussion online, like on the interwebs, about whether or not DMs allow wild shape to then pop into an ASMR with wings.
Why the fuck not?
Right?
Okay.
So, like, you wild shape yourself into, like, a fucking rat, and then you just pop some giant wings.
Oh my god.
Because they don't scale.
I can't. Like 10-foot wingspan on a fucking mouse.
It would be so good.
Like, oh my god, look at those wings just flying around by themselves. No, look closer. Squeak, squeak, squeak.
So cool. But yeah, I just want to do that for the flavor of it. Like, if I was to actually build one now, because I've already played a holier than thou paladin.
You don't say.
Like, I don't have to do it again.
Now you're playing a holier than thou monk.
Yeah, I'm playing a holier than thou monk. But like, I just feel like a nice little forest druid that just flies around as a giant Pegasus mouse is just delightful.
Okay, so my answer for this is actually based on a character that I used to play. I think coming up, a Scourge Aasimar who's all about going into battle and whatnot. It doesn't take a whole lot for me to jump to that. That's literally every murder hobo that's existed. Aasimar, like Scourge Aasimars, are built for murder hobos. You can be anything. Just it's hard to build a unique character around that because every unique character is already a Scourge Aasimar to some degree, right? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about the Protector. And the idea that there's always a holy mission. I played a character, his name was Bargus. He was a dwarven cleric. And he was sent on a mission from God to find the savior because he grew up in an orphanage. And the orphanage was destined to burn down one day. And there was only one person in the world that could stop this from happening, from orcs burning down this orphanage sometime in the distant future. He didn't know when. So he went out and got visions until he ended up running across one of the other characters at the table, which was played by Jamie, who was a barbarian.
This is all sounding very familiar, yeah.
Yeah. Playing that character of the protector role is difficult, but it's a really good challenge when you're the most experienced person at the table and you want to give someone else the spotlight for a little bit. Now, having not known Jamie around the D&D table when I built this, I didn't realize that he was very comfortable in the spotlight. I'm putting it mildly. But I by far had like 12 years more experience than the next person at a D&D table. I said, I can't make this about me. I'm going to make it about somebody else. So I got to sit there and heal him up, make sure that he was protected all the time. As a barbarian who was the meat shield, he never hit 0 hit points because even if I was on death's door, I was healing him first. I feel like an Aasimar can be built around that. And having an acolyte kind of background, or even just a hermit or an outlander because you're on the road looking for whatever is drawing your mission forward, I guess, right? Whatever. I feel like Aasimars don't put down roots. When they're called out to do something, they go out into the world and do it. There's not a whole lot of Aasimars just hanging out in a village. It can happen if their job is to protect the village. But I feel like they've got to get to the village from another continent first. So there's like a journey aspect to them. I could also retire an Aasimar character pretty easily. I retired Bargus when I took over DMing. And it was very natural to just drop him down as an NPC to, here, you go protect that character now. And I will just have kind of a sidekick level character for the barbarian.
Yeah.
That was really easy for me to do. Cleric makes a lot of sense for that. Monk makes a lot of sense for that. But I also thought that one of the support bards would as well, as long as you're not musical. If you don't have a musical bend.
Yeah.
If you're not about the spotlight, if you're about the inspiration. I saw the word inspire a lot in all of my Aasimar readings. So bards with the high charisma as well makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. If I was going to do it again, I'd be an Aasimar bard, who probably a protector who doesn't have offensive spells.
I kind of like that because it's also does this Aasimar by like changing the world, or is his holy mission to necessarily be the force of change, or maybe they're recording it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're just supposed to be there to take these moments to pass down through history.
Oh well, yeah. What if Angel Joe has tasked you to write the next Bible,
Yeah.
and you are here? I mean, this is gonna. You are not the Messiah. Your party is full of the Messiahs, and you are writing about them.
You're writing their story.
And
Yeah.
so your job is not to get in the way and do it for them. It is to help them when they need it, to get them to that point.
Yeah.
That's a good way of tying a holy mission into the rest of the party without it railroading your whole campaign.
Because it makes it about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I would talk to the DM about this, and again, it would be really fun to play the crazy guy. You could still do that and be like, "I'm here to save you guys." What?
Sorry, what?
So, same initiative order. Do you guys, Kyle? Do you like Aasimar overall? Are they growing on you?
I think you know my position on them. Not particularly. It is
feelings.
Yeah, it is not my. It wouldn't be my go-to. I think they'd be kind of fun as an NPC, but as a player character, I don't ever see myself using one. But I think they do have some fun flavor to them.
Okay, what race is your go-to for D&D creator? Like, do you tend to go the gnomes and halflings? Are you going dwarves and Goliaths? Do you go elves and drow and?
I don't think I have a typical race.
What are you playing now?
I think right now I'm playing a changeling sorcerer. Which
What were you playing before?
Enjoying. Before I was playing a dragonborn cleric.
Really no connection there.
Yeah, you're all over the place.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I just know there's certain ones I don't like. Like, I'm not fond of dwarves. I probably won't play dwarves. And that is a very unpopular opinion, especially from Dan. I know that.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
Yeah. And Aasimars, I just, like, I don't know.
How do you feel about tieflings?
Tieflings? Yeah, they're all right.
Really? You choose tieflings over Aasimar? Tieflings are edgier and more... Yeah, all right. Okay.
Yeah, I like the evil kind of blend, or the more neutral.
We don't kink shame.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right. Megan?
Yes, I do enjoy them. I would not play one, but
No?
I like the idea of having one at the table if it was played right.
Would you one-shot with one of these guys?
Absolutely. I would not dedicate my life to the character is built as an ASMR. I would dedicate it to maybe three sessions kind of campaign. I would not. This would not be my go-to dive my heart and soul into it kind of character.
What about as an NPC?
I would love them as NPCs. I think they make great like placeholders for like your quest givers, your weird big, it could be a big bad evil guy for fuck's sakes. Like you can just do so many things with them because they are celestial and touched by things that are more higher than you are. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for them, but not as players.
I don't want to play them in a one-shot. If I'm going to play them, I'm going to play them in probably a 4 or 5 level campaign. Not sessions, levels. I really want to dig my teeth in, get the full experience, but I don't need to do a Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I don't need to go 15, 16 levels of freaking Aasimar. But I think it'd be interesting in like Descent into Avernus, where you are in hell and it is a fallen angel that is running the enemy forces.
Yeah.
Like there could be something interesting in there. It depends a lot on the storyline, depends on the table and who I'm going to be
Your
with.
players, yeah.
I love them as NPCs. I had an Aasimar who was an NPC who was a protector of the Great Tree a couple of campaigns ago, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's beautiful and he's wise and he's trustworthy," and everyone else, all the NPCs loved him and looked up to him as a leader. And then so the players did as well. And the moment the players turned their back, I'm like, "Nope, Black Dragon. He was a Black Dragon the whole fucking time." So sorry, Blue Dragon. He was a Blue Dragon the whole time. So and he was just in disguise. I love Aasimars as doppelgangers or black dragons or hags in disguise. One thing that you don't see a lot of are female Aasimars. You see a lot of, like, you tend to go male. Especially in the artwork I found online, there were not a lot. They just looked like girl angels. Every time you see an Aasimar, they got their wings popped out. And they always have a halo. And the girls are always wearing that, like, I'm going to use breastplate, but, like, emphasis on breast plate because it's
not gonna do nothing for you.
Yeah. So I feel like I want to see more female Aasimars as well, like that calling. The same way that there's a lot of female tieflings, but not as many male tieflings in the like online art community. I guess just sexy devil girl is more popular.
I kind of imagine them being a little androgynous, you know, because I mean, most of the angels, they don't really go for gender. So I kind of imagine it, if this is half divinity, then it's kind of it's David Bowie.
Cool. And I'm all over that. He's totally in it. No, he's a Genasi.
Yo, I want him to be an Aasimar so bad.
We have sparked something tonight. All right, I have one final question for you guys to stick in the same initiative order. When you are a dungeon master, because I don't think I've asked either of you guys this before on the podcast, how do you feel about flying characters?
Flying all the time? Like they have a constant fly speed?
Any fly speed. Because you know half of the time that a protector Aasimar pops the wings is because he's got to get up on the cliff or he's going to go scout. It's not always combat, right? How do you feel about that as a DM?
I'm going to handicap it. Like I'm not going to, I don't know. If it's the protector ability, right, where they get it for 1 minute, sure, fine. It's great. But if it's...
Like Aarakocra?
Yeah. But if it's like constant... I'm going to handicap it, so it depends on what you're wearing. Like, you're not going to get your 30 feet fly speed if you're wearing full plate mail.
Aarakocra have 50 feet of fly speed.
Yeah,
it is insane.
Then you're going to get 30 kind of thing. Like, it's going to be handicapped, and I will let you know that I'm definitely going to have threats that are designed just for you in almost every encounter.
Well, look, if you're going to fly up above the party, everyone around can see you. That's always my rule, right? So you can go ahead and fly, but it's iffy. We actually had an Aarakocra get eaten by a purple worm in the last session because... Oh, and was super scared about going up. We were in a desert.
Yeah.
And the Aarakocra NPC did not want to go up because everyone else could see. So, and just because you're flying and hovering 10 feet above the ground does not mean you are not impervious to ground shit. Stuff jumps. Megan, how do you feel? Would you be cool just DMing a flyer?
Yeah, I don't really care.
Honestly, it makes my job 10% more difficult for the exploration factor, but if I'm relying on cliffs and gaps and ledges for all of my exploration, I'm kind of doing a shitty job as a DM.
That's what I mean. It's kind of like there's not a lot of opportunities where it's going to come up that much, like that it becomes such an issue. And if it becomes an issue, there's a lot of things you can do as a DM to handicap without actually fully handicapping it. Like, you're in the forest, they want to fly up into the trees or something like that. It's raining, it's windy.
Yeah.
Like, there's things you can do to make
Deck
flying...
saves.
Right? There's things to make it difficult without looking like you as a DM are handicapping them.
The other thing, too, that I want to remind you is that every 10 feet you fall, you take 1d6 damage.
Yeah.
And being incapacitated 80 feet up in the air is a bad thing. So I don't even need to hit you with other flyers or magic missile. I just need to hit you with a status effect, and down you go.
Yeah.
Right? So... Protector Aasimar, let's say, okay, hold on, it was for a full minute, right? At 30 feet a minute. So they can fly for 300 feet. That's a long way to fall.
Yeah.
And remember, what goes up has to come down, and they just disappear after a minute. So you should really only go 150 feet up, because you got to come 150 feet down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for this discussion on Aasimar, unless you guys have anything else you'd like to add.
Nope.
They both just shook their heads in this audio medium.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I also did air quotes earlier, and I forgot.
That's why I had to say air quotes out loud.
Thank you for that. Good coverage.
Okay, so we've got a lot more ground to cover with the playable races as we move forward, so check back regularly to see what inspirations and insights we'll have for you in the future. Next week, we're going to be digging into bardic subclasses from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and as well as one from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So it says in my notes here that Dave is planning on singing at some point. So fuck, we might have to cut that out.
He's gonna come with a recorder, you know that, right?
Oh shit, he has a bag of instruments that he uses as a bard or a DM that he whips out at the table just to annoy everyone else.
My favorite one was the horn.
He had a fucking moose call in the Call of Cthulhu. We cut this in the Deep Dark of Radiance. He had a moose horn, and he whipped it out. He was so proud. I'm gonna pull out my moose call, and I'm gonna blow hard. and we were all expecting a big, like, Gimli at freaking Moria blow. Nope. He blew on it and it went... he just, like, he missed it somehow, and it biffed so hard. The whole room, I thought Mieko was going to pee. The whole room was crying, laughing. He's like, no, I got this. And then he hit it, and it still just goes, like, that's the noise. It is so, like, shitty. I don't know. And poor Dave was just, like, so funny. He was red. I thought he was going to die.
It's my favorite Dave moment.
It was so funny. So Dave with instruments is always good.
Oh, man.
That's the moral of this episode. Welcome to Aasimars.
Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website at www.itsamimic.com, as well as a store for some awesome merch. We also rely on your word of mouth to get news of the podcast out there to the community, so please pass the word to everyone you know that we're available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as most other podcast apps. Thanks again for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Inquiries, requests, and questions for our mailbags can be sent to info@itsamimic.com.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about lawful good stuff, and I just wanted to bring up this Tumblr post that I saw where it says, Fact 1, in most versions of D&D, when infected as opposed to natural born lycanthropes, transform under the full moon. They assume the default alignment of their type during the ensuing mindless rampage. Fact 2, in most versions of D&D, the default alignment of werebears is lawful good. So, when an infected werebear transforms under the full moon, they go on a mindless lawful good rampage. What would you guys think would happen during a lawful good mindless rampage?
I want to roll for this one.
Yeah, let's go with me.
Oh, I was on a 16, Kyle. We tied. We're on 14's
I
reroll.
know.
All right. Why don't you just get the 16? Oh, now.
All right, okay, so I'm going first, you're second, and Megan is third. Clearly, he runs around just angrily fixing everybody's, like, sheds. That's what,
Like with a comb? That's what I imagine. Just like brushing everyone.
No, not that kind of shedding. I mean, like, Jesus, Megan. No, he runs into the village and he's like, the barn needs new shutters, and just like angrily
Mr. Fix It.
Oh yeah,
Angry Fix It.
But like the way that you pictured Dan angrily fixing things, right? Like, I just need to get this done before the weekend because on the weekend it's supposed to rain.
I have so much to do, so little time.
Exactly.
I love that. That's adorable.
Kyle, what's an angry good rampage?
Oh, I imagine stealing a bunch of children, like, and just trying to take care of them as best as you possibly can. You know, it's like, oh, that's an orphan over there. Like, you just see a kid walking
they're
down the
previously
street.
thought to have been having issues.
Yes.
Not if they're stealing happy children from happy parents.
just assumes that every child is an orphan.
Yeah,
That's
just
insane.
Help!
it's mindless, right? So it's not thinking it all the way through. It's like it just sees a child by itself. It's all alone. I must take care of it.
Oh my god. For me, I feel, and this is coming from me, I hate saying this out loud, but it would just be a bear running around hugging everyone. This is big bear hugs, hugging all of the children's, probably hurting a couple people in the process because it doesn't quite know how strong it is at this point, but it's just trying to hug everyone.
I like the idea of like people just having fish thrown at their front doors too. Just like, why can none of you fish for yourselves? I will take care of each of you.
Someone's angry mom.
Yeah.
Its name is Karen.
I almost said taint. What's the opposite of blessing to them?
I was going to say
kinda
wrinkly
looks
old
like-
man, and then you said taint, and then
Yeah.
that just made a whole lot of weird connections in my brain.
I don't expect you to be the dirty one on the podcast, Megan. Oh, that was an evil grin. So, 160-year-old Harrison Ford.
No, thanks. I take it back. Don't want that raisin.
So, I don't want that raisin. No 2 scoops of that guy for Meg.
No 2 scoops.
Wait, what am I talking about now?
Oh,
okay. What was the question again?
Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast.
Thanks for sounding so enthusiastic.
I'm so enthusiastic.
But you make it Dave play an instrument.
I also have one more joke that I didn't think was very appropriate, but I wanted to share it with you.
Sure,
guys.
yeah.
What do you call someone with a lisp who murders angels and ghosts?
What?
Ethereal killer.
Ethereal killer? Fuck.
That was a good one. I like that one.
God damn.
That was really
Thanks for listening. Bye.